This is well and truly fucked now, because I knew there was a King's Earth, but Verbs has been concentrating and focusing on all the King's Earth business with his channel. So I was like, I knew there was one, but I wasn't that interested in it at the time because I was focusing on other stuff. So eventually got onto the other Earths, like the Cub Scouts and the jury and things like that, because more interested in the jury's role in when we're putting petitions through the courts and subscribing to statements on Earth in suits, right? So, but then, so I ended up getting interested in the Earths from the other side, from the bottom way upwards, not from the King's Earth, but obviously Verbs has been concentrating all on that. But now, seeing as I found out that stupid Privy Council Earth, that they're not allowed to know, understand, or comprehend anything bad that the King could do, which to me that's a handicap. I actually got onto the King's Earth now, because actually I've realised, well, I didn't really need to realise this, because everyone knows that, the King's got, you can't draw arms against the King, etc. And, well, unless you're a soldier, you can draw arms because you need to be holding on to them to go to war. But if anyone dies, apparently you're not liable for it. Particularly if it's an accident. Anyway, so with the right to petition, I mean, everyone, it's obvious about the King, right? But the right to petition is the right of the subject to petition the King, and all prosecutions and equipment for such petition are illegal. Well, clearly, that would mean that maybe prosecutions against the King are illegal as well as against us, right? So it also protects the King as well, because the whole point of bringing grievance against the King is to complain. Now, you can't have a grievance if someone hasn't done something wrong, or done something at least that is wrong to you or you don't like, right? So the concept of bringing grievances against the King or complaints comes with thinking that the government, or some part of the government, or someone, whether in a civil action, has done something wrong. Possibly even that you want to get some laws changed because they're not good or you don't like them. But people, it's well established that, the royal family or the King can owe people money from certain reasons. So that's a debt. That might not be a wrong, but it's definitely not a balance, is it? So the concept of the Privy Council's oath seems rather retarded to me, in the fact that if they could, if people have got complaints against the King, they're not happy about something or other, and it can't be good. So therefore it has to be bad to them, at least. So as of the Privy Council cannot understand that, or aren't able to comprehend it, seems to me rather a ridiculous handicap. Although supposedly, doesn't mean to say the King can't, but the Privy Council can't, and at least the rest of the House of Commons can understand your grievance, particularly when we're voting people in there. But everyone's got allegiance to the King. It seems rather a ridiculous setup for if there is corruption or wrongdoing in the government, because no one seems to want to admit fault, and no one's making the decisions. It seems rather malignant or malevolent, or something not good. But anyway, so the actual King's Earth. So apparently it goes all the way back to before the King, to like Alfred and before then, right? And apparently this, where is this? There's a 1688 version. So apparently, so the oath apparently has kept this form of, it's got like 3 major parts to it, and it has kept this form, right, most of the whole way through. Now, apparently the 1688 one is important, which goes sort of like contemporary with Bill of Rights, because that's when Parliament has got some kind of like parliamentary sovereignty over the rights of the monarch, right? So this here, the wording stipulated in Section 3 of the 1688 Act, right? And all the ones since then, apparently, what they're actually admitting here, and this is Wikipedia, they're saying that because of the 1688 Bill of Rights and certain statute law, all of the other amendments or further changes to the oath, it's questionable whether they're legal or not, because of the 1688 Bill of Rights. So that's actually Wikipedia admitting that there is a questionability of whether the changes are lawful or not. But we'll read this anyway. So it says, right, this is what the oath that the king's got to take. It says, will you solemnly promise and swear to govern the people of this kingdom of England and the dominions thereto belonging according to the statutes in Parliament agreed on and the laws and customs of the same, right? Well, I don't think that's what he says. I think the Archbishop says that, and then he has to agree to it. I don't know whether he... so the Archbishop, according to this, the way it's written, the Archbishop's reading this out, and then he just says, like, you know, it's almost like marriage vows, isn't it? So it's not really a proper oath, is it? It's just like, he's not reciting the oath himself. He's just saying, like, you know, it's almost like getting married to the nation, isn't it? More like, in my opinion. So that means that, for example, when you call him out on the 1700 Act of Settlement, if it is actually still in force, and it says that he can't give his rights up to foreign entities and bodies, then you can't, right? So that's what I've called him out on, because Charles has been knocking around with, you know, World Economic Forum and World Health Organization and Association, and, you know, repping for England in the nooks and crannies of all that. Yet they're removing our rights from their policies unlawfully when they had to be in there in the first place. They didn't have an option whether or not to include them or not. They had to put them in there in the first place. So I pulled them on that, and well, they can't do it. So you know, he's not allowed to do it. So there's no umming and ahhing about that. It's like that, you know, to do that is wrong or bad. Now, if he's doing it and it's wrong and bad, that's a bit of a ridiculous position, because according to Parliament, he's not allowed to do it and he can't do it, but the Privy Council apparently can't see him when he's doing it. So it's kind of almost like Ed Davey, Nick Clegg, Keir Starmer, and the rest of the Muppets are literally putting their fingers in their ears, like, and humming like la 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 while he's doing it. Well, we know that because they've been helping him do it. That's what Starmer's been doing, helping him do that. And Clegg, online, doing all the internet part of it, and Ed Davey as well. So, and the rest of them. And, you know, Lucy Fraser, well, you know, how many of them is there? You know, they carry on after they leave, you know, all these right-ons knocking around in the woodwork. But it's worse than David Cameron, isn't it? You know, they can see no bad. Tony Blair, training governments, conditioning and grooming governments around the world into their new way of doing things. This is our new way of doing things. Our new way of doing things. Blair, this is the actual circular ring of persons that exactly who is being under scrutiny at the moment, right? But nothing they're doing can be any bad for anyone, right? Well, apparently, according to Parliament, Charles can't do it. Most of these people, a lot of these people have left government, but they still got the right on title, and they still took the oath, and they're meant to get to keep the title after. And then the current ones, like Starmer in the government, can't see no wrong. Which is ironic to say that if Charles is doing something which is contrary to the law of England, which Parliament have got to hold him account to, right? I mean, what is Starmer playing at? If Starmer can't see no wrong in that, Starmer can see no wrong in Charles taking our rights away, that he's taken an oath to uphold and hold accountable to Parliament. And the only people in Parliament who can see it are the ones not on the Privy Council. So if that ain't a neck-hold or wrestling lock, it's like Twister. It's like some messed up Twister game, isn't it? It's like put your hand on the red dot. It's like Starmer, he's got one foot in Parliament and the other on the red spot of Charles, and he's in some kind of contortion lock. With Nick Clegg, sticking his toe in from off the board or something. It really is a rather ridiculous affair, if I've ever seen one. If anyone, he's probably worse than anything that anyone could walk in on Baroness M's yacht. Short of, the Twister spots being floating, being chucked out on the water, like on some kind of morning TV weather map or something, that's rocking around, and then someone else pops up, then Branson pops up from underneath the water with a scuba diving mask on, asking if there's any parties going on, it's something ridiculous like this. So I don't know how they're going to sort that one out, in my opinion, because it seems like they've got themselves into a twist, if there ever was one. Will you, to your power, cause law and justice in mercy to be executed in all your judgments? Well, that's the thing. Justice in mercy. Well, that has to include forgiveness in it, which comes into the jury. So there has been some mercy in some of those Extinction Rebellion cases. You don't see much mercy going on in the High Court when people are going for appeals, though. But I guess each case to its own. Will you, to the utmost of your power, maintain the laws of God, the true profession of the gospel, and it says and. That's interesting. I was just going to start pulling up this religious thing on the Christian thing, but then it says maintain the laws of God, the true profession, and then it says of the gospel, but it doesn't say which gospel, but then and the Protestant Reform religion established by law. That profession of the gospel and the Protestant Reform religion established by law. That's interesting because I've only just this second noticed the and word there. What is there? If there is a law of God and true profession of a gospel, but that doesn't say particularly to anything, that does not say the gospel of Hebrew, Moses, Jesus, or whatever, first, second, third testament, or any religion, then we've got a word, gospel, and the Protestant Reform religion. That's strange because that could separate that into two separate things of laws of God, the true profession of gospel, and the Protestant Reform religion established by law. Quite interesting because that can separate it into two separate parts. Saying that there's something and a Protestant Reform religion, which could be separate to laws of God and true profession of gospel. So that's kind of interesting. But if you go with it, it's all in one. And will you preserve unto the bishops and clergy of this realm and to the churches committed to their charge and all such rights and privileges as by law? do or shall pertain unto them, or any of them. So that'll include all the Bill of Rights as well. So that includes like the Bill of Rights and the Act of Indemnity stuff that we've just gone through with all the Parliament sessions from 1688 and 1689, where they pretty much set out all the petitioning process for the committees, because they're talking about it quite extensively, and you get to the model of how they're running the petitions with the either in the chambers, in the Commons or Lords, or being referred to committees. So now the thing, and then in this, it then goes on to a couple of the different amendments, right? Slight variations in wording, because they've got "and the people of this Great Britain," all to do with like different slightly changing Commonwealth or Palatine, Durham and Lancaster and all this, Berwick-on-Tweed. "Will you maintain and preserve inviolably the said settlement of the Church of England and the doctrine, worship, discipline and government thereof, as by law established within the Kingdoms of England and Ireland, Dominion of Wales, town of Berwick-upon-Tweed," and so forth. And then they've got "the people of the United Kingdom of Great Britain, Ireland, and the dominions therefore belonging to, preserve inviolably the settlement of the United Church of England and Ireland. Will you solemnly promise to swear to govern the people of Great Britain, Ireland, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Union of Africa, with your possessions and other territories and them belonging pertaining to, and your Empire of India, according to respective laws and customs? Will you, to the utmost of your power, maintain the laws of God and true profession of the gospel? Will you, to the utmost of your power, maintain in the United Kingdom of the Protestant Reformed religion established in law? So, and then we've got, will you, just slight variations again, right? Is the church established by your Majesty, the church established by law, whose settlement you will swear to maintain, is committed to the true profession of the gospel, and in so doing will seek to foster an environment in which people of all honour. So this is your Majesty, the church established by law, whose settlement you will swear to maintain, is committed to the true profession of the gospel, and in so doing, well, that means the church, what they've said established by law, is committed to this true profession of the gospel, which earlier on we said they were separated into two parts. So that means the church is committed to that. And in so doing will seek to foster an environment in which people of all faiths and beliefs may live freely. The coronation oath has stood for centuries and is enshrined in law. Are you willing to take the oath? Right, so this is like the new part of it. But what they're saying is they're reckoning now in this, what I've read earlier, and this is Wikipedia, they're saying that possibly some of these amendments aren't lawful or legal because of statute law in the 1688 Bill of Rights, which is kind of like what we're saying in things like, the election, like with the suffragettes, when they took away with the women's vote, yet says elections ought to be open and free. And this Bill of Rights and freedom of speech, which that Yousaf's doing in Scotland now in the SNP party and so forth, trying to take people's rights away in their own house and free speech. So this is the thing. So the problem that I have with, the main problem that I've got with this oath is this, is that, so if you're going on if you go with the basis that he's got to he's maintaining the church, right? If we were going by the 1688 Bill of Rights original oath, right, and all these amendments aren't lawful, then they're in trouble. And the reason for that is that they've been inviting lots of different religions into this country, right? And a lot of people of these religions we've been accepting and, not shunning or banning or making illegal. And they've got into government, into councils, parliament, the Lords, judges into courts, and also immersed themselves into the have been absorbed into the population, and now they're getting called out in juries randomly, when we used to vote and elect juries from our favourite or preferred citizens to sit on the juries. Then when you go into court, you know that these are the people the public have chosen by will. They're preferred jury. But now it's random. And a lot of the jury have been pulled out, and we don't even have a judgment of peers anymore. It's just these justices. And then there's a lot of Asian and, Hindu, Muslim people in the juries that aren't necessarily of the Christian faith and don't necessarily believe in forgiveness, which that model is based upon, according to these oaths and the laws and Magna Carta and the system, right? And even if they did believe in forgiveness, a lot of the jury have been taken out. Now, the way I see it, if you go by the 1688 Bill of Rights version of the 1688 version of the oath, and how it's played out, is that we're not really getting fair justice at the moment from our peers. We're not getting fair judgment from the peers. In fact, with the way the police chiefs are operating it, with the confess, and you don't have the right to remain silent, and confess for bargain basement deals, like confessions for discounted offers, which is illegal. You're just getting like them zapping people, like electric fly zapper thing, in a pizza shop. You just like people are just going around and they're just getting zapped by these police chiefs who think that they're helping everyone, saving them, but they're not, because people end up police chief thinks that he's saving their life, but no, he's actually ruining their lives, because they don't end up having a life after they've taken away all their privileges and class system, and tricked it out of them as well. A lot of it's illegal and con, yet they put the crown on the cameras and everything, so it's all allegiance and king can do no wrong, yet when you call them out on it, you can't get justice, because it will make them look bad. The whole emblem look bad, which is why we haven't been able to get anything done about it, because the Privy Council don't want the king to look bad, and neither do the Parliament itself doesn't want the country to look bad. But it's making us look bad, because we're not getting fair judgment of peers or courts of conscience anymore. So, and then you've got all these, I don't want to upset them, but, we've got these ethnical, naturalised foreigners who have, been naturalised to England, and we've welcomed them in. But then they've got into government, and now they don't believe in this forgiveness and these judgment of peers and the religion, and like this Youssef guy, and he's starting to even stop people having. There's no liberty. The liberty of the city was meant to be the protection from the wild woodlands. Now it's Sadiq Khan's London is effectively like a prison. You have to pay every time you open the door or go anywhere. That's not liberty. You can't speak in your own house. So we've got these foreign bodies infiltrating our government. Now, this is where we get into these amendments. So the amendments in the oath is that we will accept these people of all faiths, right? We will accept people of all these faiths and their beliefs to live freely, right? So that's what we're doing at the moment. We're accepting them, they can, come into the country and absorb into the government system, get into the House of Lords, become judges, professors, MPs. But they've got a very different idea of what freedom and liberty is and what fair judgment by our peers is, even if they... it's questionable whether or not they are or are not our peers. Some people might think that's borderline, but I think that, it all depends on whether you think people have a well, this, they study this at university, don't they? At the end of the day, there are a couple of factors in human beings. One is culture. So you can have a child from any ethnicity brought up in any culture, and he absorbs the culture as he grows up. So, you can have an Australian accent, and you can have an Australian education, and so forth. Or you can have like a English upper class accent and education from Oxford or whatever Boris Johnson's come out with, and still be crooked. So that's an absorbed culture. Now the question is, and people don't like this, but it's a legitimate subject because it's fact. Are there variables still on what person's ethnicity is, right? And the fact that, it's relevant, why do they ask you on police forms, what is your ethnicity? Someone wants to know what it is. Why? If it doesn't matter, or if it's not relevant, why do you need to write it down? Well, I mean, to identify you. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means if they're looking for you through CCTV, they need to identify your ethnicity. But there is no such a thing, is there? We're all English. We're all, some of us are working class English, and some of us are upper class English. So, might as well, do they ask that, the police? Are you upper class or lower class or working class, Well, it is an identifiable variable. That's why they're asking for it, So it must mean something. There is some kind of difference on there, or they won't be looking for it. So, but what are the effects of that on opinion, on the attitude of the person? Is there still an attitude identifiable regardless of the social culture that a person has been absorbed with, right? That's the thing that I think that is the, and this is the main question. This is why, we've got all these wars going on over in the Middle East, because, there are a lot of different ethnicities over there, but they're complaining about religion. Some of them are the same ethnicity but different religion and fighting. Some of them are the same religion but different ethnicity but fighting. Some of them are rich but they're still fighting. Some of them are poor but still fighting. It really is a bit of a mess. So, there are things to, I think that they are. The problem is that the scientific community are studying all these things, but they present it in a language of science so as not to be politically taboo or conflicting, but the data still translates to the same thing, no matter how you present it, as long as you know what the data means and what it is, right? So, these are the different effects that we are having to face now. At large, these are the issues at large among society that we have. Now, the thing is, the more and more differences you've got, then the more and more things there are to discriminate against, right? If you've only got one religion, back in, 1640s, they were complaining about, Protestant and Catholic or different religions. That's what the main arguments were, right? You'd have thought that once there, was if there's only one religion, then at least they're not arguing about the religion, they're arguing about something else. If you're going to invite lots of different religions in, then you're going to have lots of different arguments about the different religions. But the idea behind it, they're supposed to be making out that the reason is that they will seek to foster an environment in which people of all faiths and beliefs may live freely. Well, people of all faiths and beliefs are living freely in the Middle East, but that doesn't mean to say that they are getting on very well with each other or having fair justice. It seems like they're all at war. they're all there, of people of many faiths and beliefs, So there's that, is if this is telling the truth, like the 1688 version of the oath takes precedence, and these are all illegal, then it would mean that the king has not upheld and protected the faith of the gospel and the Protestant faith. It would seem that it's been infiltrated or taken over. So that's breaking the oath, really. So it depends whether or not what they're saying here, whether that 1688 version is enforceable or not over these modifications. So, I mean, that's quite important and serious, I suppose. But even if not, if this version here of accepting all the faiths takes precedent, then my question is this, right? If the monarch is accepting of all faiths and beliefs freely, right, then why are they not accepting the faiths and beliefs of the people that they conquered, that the Romans conquered? Because that is the original religion of the island, right? Now, there's a point here, right? Where's this 1688 version gone to? This 1688 version here, right? How you read this? Where's the and word gone? If you read this like, govern the people of the kingdom of England and the dominions therefore belonging according to the statutes of Parliament, agreeing on the laws and customs of the same. Here, look. Will you, to the utmost of your power, maintain the laws of God, the true profession of the gospel? But then it says, but then something else. Doesn't say the gospel of Christ or the gospel of the Christian faith. It just says a gospel. And the the Protestant reform religion established by law. Well, the Protestant religion is the one that Henry VIII decided that he was going to be the head of the church, didn't he? And then whatever's proceeded from there on. So, I mean, this is the thing. There is definitely something in God in that. And the thing is that the pre-Roman conquest religion definitely believed in God or a God, or whether they had multiple gods or whatever they called it. But at the end of the day, when the Christian faith came over here, and then eventually Romans kind of like went, there was a lot going on. Really, this is the argument between Northern Ireland and England, with the mixture of the religions and so forth, which ends up taking on Christianity form, and it does not like to acknowledge any. There is no name for this religion previous, but the thing is, I have realised and noticed that through all those charters of Kent, Warwickshire, London, wherever around England, they were encouraging people in those charters when they were doing all those cities and forming the separate bylaws with all the different mayors and justices, that they were encouraging people to go dig treasure up and find treasure of the ancestors. But they were like, oh yeah, we've all got the same ancestry, we're all from the same ancestors, and we're accepting of all natural persons and so forth. And they were saying, oh, you can keep the treasure. If there's any treasure out there, you can have it yourselves. I think they were encouraging people to dig it up, so then they could just get it all dug up, right? And then they knew that people would probably go for the money and want to end up swapping it in or handing it in. Now, they're like, oh, if anyone finds any treasure, it's property of the monarchy, property of the Queen, property of the King, property of the government, right? Anything you find now, you've got to hand it in. So they started off saying everyone could keep it, right? And that, they accept all ancestry of England, but that now, oh, no, you got to hand it in, So I think they encouraged a lot of, destruction of ancient sites. And then there's all that, the tanks tearing them up in the war and everything. And then, bombing everywhere in the war, Plymouth and etc. And then you've got, as near as 1954, you've got them building on ancient sites and taking the mick out of them and even duncing them up. And then even Lord Dartmouth, and they've got all these maps and drawings and books, like literally taking the mick out of it, duncing everyone as if we're all idiots or lunatics or whatever. And then the whole, you got the stocks in the Middle Ages, like was supposed to be modelled on the, recumbent stone layout with the holes to put your feet through, like where the moon, following the path of the moon, the lunatics. So lunar orbits. So and then everyone was bad's naughty, and then they're changing all the surnames in Ireland. So I don't like it because they weren't accepting of all the religions. The thing is, if they've swapped to this new oath that says accepting all religions, why are they still wanting to drill a big borehole under Stonehenge, a big highway under Stonehenge, and take down the Darwin Oak, and they're not even giving people their votes in Wales when they've afforded enough signatures on petitions to get a vote. They claim they're accepting all religions, but they still don't seem to be accepting our ancient and old religions, even from here. Only the foreign religions and so forth. And the problem with that is we're losing the framework or model of the courts and judgment, and it seems to be benefiting the authorities and the police. And they seem to get more and more people in there who are unforgiving, like these justices who you don't even get a fair jury trial, and not one that you voted for, one that's selected at random. I don't like it. It seems almost to me like they are... there is no fair justice anymore. And they've jettisoned all the religious thing for, accepting everything, but you accept nothing, because what's left now is mishmash. And then, I don't even know what this Yousaf guy is doing in Scotland, and Sadiq Khan, with all he's planning the destiny of mankind in London, and he's doing it on one vote. You vote for me and I'll take care of it. Actually, just because you vote for what person you want in the position, you aren't actually voting for you can't vote for a policy. You can't vote for a policy. You don't vote for a policy. You vote for a person. When you elect jurats in a jury, you're electing a person who will, on every different matter that comes in front of them, you trust them to make a decision based on evidence, right? Now, the thing with the mayor is that you're meant to elect these officials, and then when they're in the government, right, any issues that the people bring to them, you hope they make the right decision. Not you vote them in and then they implement their plans into our government. Because we're not voting in like a one-man band. Like these guys who turn up with like like a guitar and a harmonica, like Chaz and Dave. Like some what do you call her? What's that? That Scottish woman called? Forgot now. Katie Tunstall. Like Katie Tunstall, you know, with like about 18 instruments. You know, like there's like a guitar with like like some kind of Morris dancer with like 18 instruments, you know, like all playing at once, like tapping a leg and playing a guitar, blowing a harmonica, you know, like all these different, you know, with a bass drum on his back or whatever. You aren't really electing a man with his bag of tricks, because you can't really elect a bag of tricks, because because you're electing a person, like it's like getting on an aeroplane with no luggage, right? You're meant to be electing a person to represent the people in the things that the people bring to them. But instead, they seem to be with a lot of baggage, you know? They seem to come with baggage now. Oh, we're a party, we've got all agendas and issues and things like that. We've got all these things that we want to do, all our destinies planned. We're not really voting for our destiny. You're voting for a person to do a job. And that job is to come into work in the morning and see what's on the table, you know, what potholes need fixing, who's reported this, and what people are themselves calling for or asking. But instead, we seem to have got into a position where all these different candidates have all got their own kind of bag of tricks that they think that, oh, you're voting for one man and his band. But I don't think you are, because if you were, when you vote for the jurats, the jury, it's almost like, you know, well, we've got this all planned out. We've got all these court procedures planned out. You know, well, how can you when you haven't even heard any cases yet? You know, you haven't any evidence put on the table. You know, I will judge according to the evidence. It doesn't compute. It's like a scam. I think it's like you vote for them and then they kind of just want you to shut up and keep quiet, you know. And this is why the Highways England and the Department of Transport and these contractors get in, and then they're running the government, and then the executives are like, oh, come on, Boris, let's come on, I want a new highway, come on, give us a new highway, let's get the diggers in there, come on, let's get some tunnels built, Wreck-It Ralph, come on. You got this kind of like rugby team, tag team, kind of like, oh, come on, chief, come on, let's get some of the, you know. And what happens is you get like the guys, the buddies, the pals, you know, out for dinner, go to a football match, get some tickets. Come on, Mayor, come on, let's get some cameras. You know, who's the chief officer? Come on, let's get some security cameras. This is it, and the country's getting run actually by businesses. It's actually lobbying. It's actually. What it's like is, can you imagine if you, you know, went into court and you got a jury there, and then, you know, you got a prosecutor and so forth, but, you know, it's almost kind of like some kind of lobbyist or something, you know, some kind of, I don't know, like prosecutor or something, kind of, well, he's got to prove a case. But the thing is, these people are doing things not by the different evidence that is presented each time. And if it was, then surely, you know, the people are meant to have a say. There's something wrong with it, because in a council meeting, if it's Court of Civil Requests in a council, equivalent to the Court of Civil Requests, they've got that slot for hearing petitions, which is when you kind of compel the jurats by, rather than them representing what the public would think because they voted them to turn up and represent the public, you're saying, oh, actually, can we actually go and check, you know, on this matter properly to get the proper figures rather than the jurat make the decision? You're kind of like going to the people who voted for that person just to double check on one matter rather than let them decide by their own conscience all the time. You know, I don't see how a lot of these mayors can just have everything planned out, because that would mean that they've already got all the evidence, and, you know, but how can they, the thing is, right, if you think of it like musical chairs, right, if the council has already got environment figures, already got traffic figures, already got all these figures, which are the evidence and facts, right, on the table, if the evidence is the evidence is the evidence, right? So if you bang a load of evidence on the table, like these are the figures for this, these are the figures for that, right? All Transport of London, the whole London, you know, departments have got all that evidence already on the table, right? Then how can... What you're doing is you're electing Sadiq Khan to look at the same evidence and then make a decision how he's going to run London on the evidence, or play musical chairs and have Howard Cox look at all the evidence on the table. But he's going to make his own different conscience decision, but it's the same evidence based on that, or someone else. But either way you look at it, right, you've got a table full of evidence of council or a government which is supposedly the same facts, but no matter how you do this model and mix musical chairs up between Sadiq Khan, Howard Cox, or Susan Hall, or whoever you want, right, they're going to be judging on their own conscience at that evidence. But that's not what happened. That's not what's happening, is it? You're getting these people coming in with their own ideas of how they think the future should be, a completely different model in their own mind, their own fantasy model of how they like the future of London to be, right? Which, that's something they're bringing with them, right? But that is a whole load of baggage unique to each individual, what they like, supposedly the people have voted for them. But that's not a fresh, clear conscience that's going to judge what's on all the stuff on the table. It's fact. That is something additional, extra. It's surplus to what is on the table. It's like they're coming in with their own baggage and stuff, but you don't elect baggage. You elect a pure person who's coming on to make judgments about what's on the table. What they're actually doing is they're coming in and then they're opening their baggage and then they're chucking it on the table, and then they're just doing all their own thing, what they want, regardless of the facts or regardless of what other people have voted them to judge on. That's kind of what's going on. And that's why I don't think that it's working now, and why you've got these problems with, you know, like with Wales, all those signatures, and they just stand down. You know, like Matt Drakeford, he just stood down. I'm not doing it. Well, but why you got elected to represent the people with your conscience, like a good juror, you know? Well, no, I've got my own ideas how I wanted to in Wales, and I can't do it now, so I'm not playing. You know, I'm going home. You know, well, you know, because this is the thing. These people are bringing their own, and this baggage is it's all these contractor stuff, which is what the police chief wants. So the police chief has stuck a load of security cameras and facial recognition in the baggage, and then, you know, Bill Gates, you know, has brought his own baggage. You know, well, I've just got a pop-up book, you know, I'll just, you know, about this, ta-da, new Department of Innovation and Technology from Michelle Donnellan, you know, Fairy Princess. It's like the Little Mermaid, you know. Well, here comes Daddy, with a new Little Mermaid set. There you go, brand new department, Michelle. You know, where did that come from? Did it come from her conscience? Someone brought it in their baggage and opened the box, you know, ta-da. Where is all this stuff coming from? You know, it seems to be that these MPs are coming in with a lot of luggage, with a lot of baggage, and it's not necessarily what people are meant to be electing a individual who can make judgments on matters which are presented on the table, not, you know, they're coming in with their own play set up. It's like some kind of like travelling show or something. It's like, oh, we've got the it's like Sadiq Khan circus in town. And then if he gets voted out, they have to pack up his stuff and go. And then they get another, someone else, whoever it is, for example, whoever it is, Chris Packham, the Really Wild Show. Oh, that's a bit of a change in London now. Get some parrots out. This is it. We're not voting in. We aren't electing a ringmaster with his own circus to take over London. You're meant to be electing an individual, who's just got off a plane with no baggage to go into an office and do a job. Depending on what the people, what requirements are. And I don't think it is that anymore. And that's that's effectively what's happening. And as for this, what's going on with all this World Health Organization taking his rights away when they're not supposed to be allowed to do so, and Charles is not allowed to. Parliament have got to hold him to that. Yet he's surrounded by some weird cult of defect, faulty towers. Surrounded by some faulty towers. There's nothing wrong here. Luckily, apparently Parliament can hold him to it. So I don't know how that's going, but apparently, we can petition with grievances and complaints, and we can't be prosecuted. Maybe the king can't be prosecuted, but Parliament can make him do certain things, and Parliament can see when he's not doing things and what the law says, unless Parliament are in on it and wanting to take our rights away, like Sunak, or whoever it is. But the Privy Council have infiltrated Parliament, the Commons. This is when you've got this Starmer standoff with Galloway and Corbyn. This is where we are with it. This is why, Corbyn is not in Labour anymore. It seems to me that, I don't think there should be Privy Councillors in the Commons if they're going to have oaths like that. Because how can you hold them to account? How can you hold the House of Lords to account, or the King to account, to his oath if you are sworn in to be handicapped? Doesn't make sense, does it? So I guess that's where I am with this stupid oath. Also, our religion's been our religion has been the Christian religion is claiming it's accepting other religions now, but it's still continually, perpetually attacking our religion, and ancient sites and things. But apparently foreign religions are welcome, but not actually original religions. So, what can you do?